Hi guys, and welcome back to Fusion Fat Loss and Nutrition Transform You Online. And today we start with one of my favourite presentations in the whole 12-week series, and it's about the gut and its wonders. And really, it's now in the scientific literature that the gut is our body's most underrated organ. It is so powerful. It holds such a wonderful environment that can really affect how we look, how we feel, and how we function. And I'm sure, as you'll find out during this presentation, that a lot of the information that you'll learn will absolutely blow your mind, and you'll be completely oblivious to some of the facts, statistics that I'll present will absolutely blow your mind. And if they don't, I don't understand the human race, really. So without further ado, let's move on. So is your gut health making you fat? And are your bacteria friends or foe? All those things we'll discover, and lots more on this wonderful presentation. Let's move on, huh? Here it is, the microbe magic. So this is the bacteria that sit within your gut. These wonderful units that can either be friends or foe. And so the opening question, are they friend or foe? Well, they can be both, depending on the bacteria. What we'll be discussing today predominantly is the ones that are our friends, and wow, some of the magic they do. But you'll be blown away by how many of these little friends that we have within inside our 27-foot tube. That's right, 27 foot from mouth to butt. That's our gastrointestinal tract. And it is phenomenal what is done within there. And we'll find out specifically the large bowel, or the colon, where most of these little friends of ours do their magic. But without stealing your thunder and giving away too much information about these wonderful critters of ours, we'll move on. So microbe magic, let's look at what all this magic's about and some of this amazing information. Little life, that's what your microbiota stands for. And the microbiome are the correct terms given to your collection of microbes and their genes. Your gut microbiome can weigh up to 2 kilos. So when you jump on a scale, people there, every time they gain a gram or 2 or 100 grams or a kilo, they absolutely crap their pants. The reality is your weight is in flux all the time, and for the human, when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed at night, there's normally somewhere between 1 and 2 kilogram transient effect. It'll change throughout the day. So don't get caught up on weighing yourself all the time. You've just seen here that you can have 2 kilos of your weight come from your gut microbiota. And for this reason, there's some 100 trillion bacteria that live within a healthy gut of a human organism, which is amazing. 90% plus of these little critters are found in your gut. That's right, that gastrointestinal tract, that 27-foot tube. 90% of these things. So again, if we fuel them, support them, they will flourish. And if they're flourishing, guess what? So do we. We work as one. 1 gram of poop, 1 gram of poop, we're going to talk about poop, contains more bacteria than people on this earth. Now, stop and think of that. 1 gram, measure out 1 gram of sugar or flour. 1 gram of poop contains more bacteria than people on this entire planet. That is absolutely mind-boggling. Microbes crack open the indigestible foodstuffs for us. So again, the human race, we don't have an enzyme that breaks down certain types of dietary fiber, predominantly insoluble fiber, stuff found in things like celery. We can't break them down, but the microbes can, and that's where they do their magic. Microbes, the bacteria, they love fiber. We supply them fiber and they flourish. This is why, again, you've heard me week in, week out talking about eat more plant food, more fruit, more vegetables. Get that stuff into you. Now you're starting to understand why. It's not because it's my philosophy, it's because it's how the human body works. And if you want to look good, feel good, and perform good, you have to have these things flourishing. Your gastrointestinal tract is home to more than 1,000 different species of bacteria, plus a minority population of viruses, yeasts, and fungi, and various other single-celled organisms. More than 1,000 different species of, again, bacteria, virus, yeast, fungi. Absolutely amazing what the human being is all about. And yet so many of us just continue to punish and expect us to flourish. You're not going to flourish if you continue to punish without nourish. It's as simple as that. And again, if you're sitting here and you've got your fingers in your ears because you don't want to hear this stuff because it's not what you practice, well, you're not going to achieve what you want, and that's your choice. But in my view, it's really naivety and gullibility and negligence on your behalf, of course. Let's continue with some of this mind-blowing magic. Microbes supply the gut with energy. We've just talked about they are able to break down dietary fiber to ascertain all the nutrition and nourishment that they require to flourish. Manufacture certain vitamins and hormones. So without those microbes, again, and the bacteria breaking down these things, certain vitamins and hormones we just can't get. Break down toxins and medications, again, magic. So we talk again, feeling great, performing great, looking great. There you go, breaking down toxins, fantastic. And train your immune system. They fuel your immune system. They allow you to feel great. And if you're feeling great, you can perform great. If you can perform great, you're going to look great. Can you see how it all comes together? Different bacteria manufacture different substances such as gases, acids, fats, and more. Specifically things like short-chain fatty acids, butate, and things like that. They're just amazing at what they do. And butate's one of those fuels that drives our immune system, which is, again, guys, this is not just gibberish. This is fact. If you could stick your head inside yourself and have a look at what happens, you'd be going, geez, CK, he was right. He was telling us all this stuff. I'm not spinning a yarn, guys. This is what you need to get your head wrapped around. As I said right at the start of this, if this isn't my favorite, it's close to my favorite presentation in the whole Fusion Transform You program, because this information is ingenious and it's how we work. Your gut bacteria have 150 times more genes than a human being. This massive collection is called the biome. Scary thing, guys, is that this is going, I hope you're sitting down watching this, because what I'm going to suggest right now will absolutely blow your mind. We are only 10% human. What the hell are you talking about, CK? Well, this is it, guys. We've talked about there's 100 trillion bacterial cells. This is what I'm suggesting. For every one cell that's human, there's 10 bacterial, viral, fungal cells or yeast cells that belong to us. So a question I ask you is this. Are we a part of the bacteria, or are we just their host? The reality is that we're only 10% human. For every one of us, there's 10 of them. Try and get your head around that. It's almost like extraterrestrial, isn't it? It's mind-blowing. So again, please take home from these early opening slides that if you're not eating well, you're not supplying the ability for that 27-foot gastrointestinal tract that's home to over 100 trillion friends of ours to look after us. And if we're not looking after them, they're not looking after us. Get your head around that. Skewed proportions of the different bacteria in your gut have been detected in those suffering from obesity, malnutrition, nervous diseases, depression, and chronic digestive problems. So put it this way, when something is wrong with your microbiome, something goes wrong with you. As I said in that previous slide, if you're not looking after them, if you're not supplying them the fuel that they require, the fueling, the nourishing that they require to blossom and flourish, well then we are the end product of those fellas. Get your head around that, guys. Really take it in. So if you continue to eat second-rate, human-interfered with junk food that has no insoluble and soluble fiber, lots of vitamins and minerals and electrolytes, lots of quality product, lots of that lush fiber, well then your body's not going to be performing anywhere near it should be. And yet you can start now to understand why you get sick. If you've got a skewed proportion of the different bacteria sitting in your gastrointestinal tract, and remember, they supply fuels for your immune system, well, then we've got more foe than we have friend. And this is when you get sick. Under stress, when you get run down, all of a sudden you feel like a cactus. Understand why. This is, again, where they talk about things like, the old wives' tales. Get some chicken soup, some broth into you. Again, full of potassium, full of vitamins, full of minerals, full of electrolytes. Again, full of fiber through the vegetable aspect of the soup, and quality first-class proteins. So it all comes together when you go, oh, wow, it does make sense. Of course it does. It's mind-blowing. Check this out. This is absolutely freaking awesome, if I don't say so myself. Some of this statistical stuff is where I said, again, you'll blow your gob off. It's just mind-blowing. Look at this. Getting to know your gut microbiota. A huge quantity, hundreds of trillions of bacteria and their other microorganisms inhabit your intestines, fulfilling key functions for your health and well-being. Gut microbiota can weigh up to, as we've discussed already, 1 to 2 kilos. Wow. 95% of the bacteria located in your gastrointestinal tract, that 27-foot tube. Get this, the gastrointestinal tract surface is as big as 2 tennis courts, 400 meters squared. 2 full tennis courts sit within inside your gastrointestinal tract. That's the cross-sectional area for absorption. Again, it's near impossible to understand these facts. They are mind-blowing. But that's you. You're an unbelievable species. Now, if you don't respect how impressive we are as a human organism, I really can't help you. This stuff here should be mind-blowing, going, wow, we wonder why we get sick. We wonder why we get ill. We wonder why we feel rubbish. It's because of all of the stuff that you continue to do on a day-to-day basis, week by week basis, month by month, year by year, that you reprogram this microbiota and your genes to be disease-focused rather than fighting disease. Again, your choice. Bacteria are 10 to 50 times smaller than human cells. Here's that one I talked about. In our body, microbes outnumber human cells 10 to 1. So we're only 10% human, really. Mind-blowing. Laid end to end, our body's bacteria would circle the earth 2.5 times. Wow. Again, remember what we talked about. 1 gram of poop. 1 gram. More bacteria there than the whole entire human race. And then you've got laid end to end, our body's bacteria would circle the earth 2.5 times. And look how small they are. 10 to 50 times smaller than a human cell. And a human cell is like a pinprick, smaller. It's just unbelievable, this stuff, guys. So look after it, support it, nourish it, fuel it, massage it. Make it, your best friend. And that happens through fork, through choice. Pillage, purge, and replace that pantry. Get the food environment right so you're not throwing Tim Tams and pizza and crap down your throat that's going to destroy these things. You're going to be looking at salad, veggies, fruit, wonderful proteins, exceptional essential fats like your omega-3 and 6. And again, go back to the food bits, protein, carbs, and fats, and look at the portions that we've discussed so you can start to manufacture meals that are going to have these little friends of ours flourishing and working like troopers for us. The 3 adult gut types. In 2011, so brand new research guide. This is only new research, all this wonderful stuff. Researchers in Heidelberg, Germany were investigating the gut biome. They found that despite great diversity, there was an order of 1 to 3 families that were dominant in the human individual gut. Bacteroids, proteins and fats they prefer. Prevotella, more vegetarian friendly eaters, so they love plant-based foods. And then the Rhumococcus, loves cell walls of plants and absorbs sugar very well. And as we'll soon find out, there are certain ones that are found in different indigenous people, like the Hasda, the Aboriginals, and once they're exposed to different environments, aka the Western world diet, unfortunate things take place. And that's the wonderful thing that you'll discover through this gut journey, is that no matter what's going on in your gut at the moment, you can change it. Yes, you can change it. All you need to do is become consistent and tenacious with your food ingestion, and you can reprogram the bacteria to completely change, and you'll have friends working for you rather than foe. It's absolutely, again, amazing. Not many things that you can have such great success with in regards to change, and it's quite acute in how quickly it can change. So the three gut types, as we said, the microbes are us. So the microbiome, everyone has a dominant bacterium leading to the gang in their digestive tract, the bacteroids, the Prevotella, or the Rhumococcus. Bacteroids, as we've discussed, thrive on high protein diets, while Prevotella prefer the vegetarian fare. These findings are more help to clarify the interplay between diet and microbes in nutrition and disease, and body composition changes. So if again you want to look good and feel good, there's reasons behind why you have to be looking at what you're doing with your fork. And a perfect example, guys, an absolutely perfect example. Most of you are well aware, even if you have no affinity with the bodybuilding fraternity, when they are dieting to get into the leanest state before they get on stage to compete, what do they eat? They eat first-class proteins, and all they really eat are fibrous vegetables. Broccoli, chicken, fish, beans, broccoli, capsicum, cucumber. They eat all of those things. They're not putting anything else in that wouldn't support the bacteroids, the Prevotella, and the Rhumococcus. Little do they know, they have, again, don't get me wrong, they weren't well aware that this is what they're doing, looking after the ability of their microbiota to support their body composition changes. But it's funny how the science catches up. Sometimes you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you just do it because it feels right and the outcomes are great. Now the science is catching up to the bodybuilding fraternity. It might be 20 or 30, 40 years behind. Who cares? Science is amazing. And again, remember, the true scientists, the world leaders in the science and art of body composition change are the bodybuilding fraternity. And remember, early on in the piece, I said, whether you believe it or not, if you're trying to undertake a body composition change, become leaner, stronger, look better, feel greater, and perform like never before, you fall under the definition, guys, of a bodybuilder. Because you're looking at body composition change. You're eating to fuel, you're eating for performance, you're eating to redo, you're eating to repair, and you're eating to rehydrate, to allow you the opportunity to do it once more, to again continue the cellular stress and trauma that enables the wonderful fuel that you're consuming to stimulate and activate this microbiota of yours to make physical changes. Absolutely mind-blowing. So bacteroids are the most common of the families. They are the experts at breaking down carbohydrates. Their ability to extract every last bit of energy from everything and then happily pass it on to us has led to the suspicion that they may be responsible for the increased tendency for gain in the weight across the world. Very interesting, isn't it? So again, believe it or not, guys, you can do a poop test and you can send it off to Colorado, and they will ascertain what your microbiota is. I think it's $99, $100 to get the test done. You send it off, they assess, they come back, and they break down all the bacteria that's in your fecal stores. And they'll let you know what you need to change dietetically to get you into a microbiota that's flourishing and going to aid in weight loss, etc. It's absolutely fantastic. And if you want further information on that, please go to Catalyst. So search Catalyst, Google, so Catalyst ABC TV, gut health, and you'll see things on microbiota and the Colorado University where you can do your poop test to find out more information on that. It's quite phenomenal. And again, we can thank science for that. So how might gut bacteria be making us fat? I think you're starting to get a bit of an idea. If you feed it wrong, it's not going to be satisfied and they're not going to be able to perform optimally. All these calories are coming in, high-end calories, but there's no dietary fiber. So they're not getting what they want. And if they outnumber us 10 to 1, they're going to keep sending messages back by the vagus nerve, a nerve from the gut to the brain, and say, you still haven't supplied me what I want. We're still hungry. So you continue to eat. And it's not until you get things like bananas, apples, broccoli, onions, leeks, artichoke, mushrooms, all of these wonderful things that they love, that they're going to go, oh, thank goodness you're supplying me what I need. So you could be getting all these abundance of, Red Bulls or V drinks and, high calorie foods like Tim Tams, ice cream, takeaway foods, pizza, all those soft drinks. None of those are supplying the things that your body needs, that the microbiota flourishes on. So all these extra calories are stored in visceral fat, all the nasty stuff around here that are really toxic and potent, and then subcutaneous fat, all the stuff that you can grab and you don't like the look of. That's just an energy reservoir for all of these extra calories that the microbiota haven't been able to use, and go, well, I can't use this rubbish. Well, we're going to have to store it. And they keep sending messages back via a specific nerve called vagus from stomach to brain, say, feed me properly. And until you respond and allow them the fuel they want, you're going to be in a horrible place. So is your bacteria making you fat? Well, I would tend to think it may well be. And again, we'll look at further information to suggest why. The idea that your gut bacteria might influence your overall metabolism and therefore your weight and body composition is only brand new science, a couple of years old to be precise. Very few bacteria reside within the small intestines. As I said right at the start, most of them sit in the large bowel or the colon, where you break down your food and absorb the nutrients found in that food. The highest concentration of bacteria is found where the digestive process is almost finished, and all that remains is the undigested remnants to be carried away. Yes, that's your large intestine. Here is the thing. If the equilibrium is altered and the large numbers of overconfident bacteria migrate up the gut to the small intestine, we have a huge problem called bacterial overgrowth. This can cause symptoms such as severe bloating, abdominal pain, joint pain, gastrointestinal tract infections, along with nutrient deficiencies and anemia. Yes, all inflammatory issues. So what I'm saying here, what all is this saying to you, is this. Remember, nearly 95% of the good bacteria sit within the colon, the last 1.5 meters of that 27-foot tube. The small intestine, which attaches to your stomach, is where all the breakdown of food and absorption of food takes place. There's very few bacteria in there. But if you're not supplying the fuel that the bacteria require that sit in that large colon, fruit and vegetables, fruit and vegetables, fruit and vegetables, fruit and vegetables. No, it's not a broken window, a broken record. It's just me, fruit and vegetables, reminding you where it's coming from. Well, then these little critters are going to get, angry, and they're going to go looking for food, and they get themselves into a position they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be thriving and flourishing and getting out of an area such as the large bowel and moving into the small bowel. They're not meant to be there. And this is where the problems occur and lead, yes, to inflammatory issues. And with systemic inflammation, that means chronic inflammation, that leads to issues such as weight gain. Now the penny drops. So it's a bit difficult to read this one, but again, I had to put it in because I believe it's so critically important. I do believe so. Can unhappy gut bacteria make you fat? A flowchart of the inflammatory obesity link. You eat junk food, or let's just say human-interfered food. Certain bacteria flourish. Foods high in fat and sugar encourage their growth, and certain gut bacteria that make a substance called endotoxins. Endo, inside, toxin, bad. So inside you, bad toxins are being made from some of these foods because they are breaking down these sugars. Immune systems react. Wow, how surprising. The immune system detects endotoxins, nasty, dangerous, deadly. Thinks you're under attack and triggers inflammation. Gearing up for a fight. Your body changes its metabolism to redirect energy, storing fat, guys, as I've mentioned. Metabolic syndrome begins. With the metabolism out of whack, your body doesn't regulate energy properly. It stores too much fat, cranks out too much insulin, and loses its ability to read enough calories already. Messages from the hormone leptin, which signals satiation, which means you're not full, you need to eat more. Remember, I said back here. Remember, we went back here and I said, the message from the vagus nerve to the brain. You've supplied all of this sort of food, not fruit and vegetables and lots of fiber, so these aren't happy, so they continue to send messages back here because of a message from leptin, a specific hormone made by fat cells, and you continue to eat and eat and eat, feeling unsatisfied because these aren't satisfied. What an unbelievably complex scenario. And now you know why. Cravings occur, your blood glucose levels are up and down, you get 3:30, 4 o'clock itis, and you chase caffeine, you chase sugar, because again, the microbiota haven't been fed enough fiber throughout the day. Not enough high quality proteins, not enough fruit and vegetables. You start eating proteins and fruit and vegetables regularly, you don't get no cravings. Why? Because the microbiota, those 100 trillion little friends of ours, are stoked. In your world, you live in about 90% of your nutrition comes from food you consume. And your friends, yes, your bacteria supply you the other 10. So what that means is this: 9 out of 10 lunches we provide, 1 out of 10 is on these guys. We need to focus on what we eat. If you are concerned about your weight, you need to think about more than just the big fat calories we consume, and start to think about those little critters that are sitting at the dining table with us. If we're not feeding them, guys, there's going to be problems. And I know, again, it sounds like a broken record, but unless you understand this, go back to the food videos, the lectures. Look at the breakdown of meals I've supplied. A palm full of protein, a clenched fist of low energy fibrous carbohydrate, a scooped handful of starchy carbohydrates, and a thumb of essential fats. Start building consistent meals from that stuff that are going to supply your microbiota everything it needs for you to change the way you look, you feel, and you function. So the 3 fat theories, how it happens. Chubby bacteria. Very interesting, this stuff. Chubby bacteria are very good at breaking down carbohydrates. These guys extract every last ounce of energy from the food and pass it on to us. And for some of us, it means we pile on weight whilst not eating any more than anyone else. Bit unfair, isn't it? However, we can look at changing that. Remember, we can change the genes. We can change the bacteria's genome as well. Bacteria are able to make certain types of fatty acids out of indigestible carbohydrate. Remember I said, like at the start, celery. We can't break down the skeleton of the plant, the bacteria can. Vegetable-loving bacteria tend to manufacture these fatty acids for their local customers, the gut and the liver. Our bacteria make fatty acids that feed the rest of our body. A banana versus chocolate. I think you know where I'm going to go with this, but I'll run by it again. If you've been listening and understanding this presentation, you'll just be nodding. Banana, full of vitamins, amazing. It's called a prebiotic. It's a food source that supplies vitamin and fiber, vitamins, minerals, and nourishment for the bacteria. Versus chocolate, no fiber, very little nourishment for the bacteria. So what are they going to do? They're going to want to eat more and more and more. High calorie food, low nutrition. Your body will continually want more because the bacteria haven't had their needs met. Studies carried out on some obese subjects found that they have less overall diversity of gut flora or biota or bacteria, and that certain groups of bacteria prevail, primarily those that metabolize carbohydrates very well. Let's go back and have a look at what ones we were talking about, and we'll see here that here. Ruminococcus, love cell walls of plants and absorb sugar very well. These are the ones we'd love to have more prevalence of, and guess what, guys? They come from more spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, apples, bananas, artichokes, garlic, mushrooms, yes, leek. Fantastic foods. The second theory, subclinical infection. People with metabolic problems, including obesity, diabetes, high blood fats, so triglycerides, usually have slightly higher levels of infection markers in their bloods. When bacteria appear in spots in the body that they don't belong, aka, as we've discussed, most should live in that small bowel. When they start to enter a large bowel, the colon, when they start to move into the small intestine, this becomes problematic. So when bacteria appear in spots in the body they don't belong because the host eats an overly fatty diet, too many bacteria enter the bloodstream. Because in that small intestine, guys, remember we said earlier on that small intestine, where we've got two large tennis courts of cross-sectional area for absorption, these bacteria slide through the cracks into the bloodstream, then it's Russian roulette. This can become a great problem. Too many bacteria enter that bloodstream. The body then slips into a low-key infection mode. Nasty! Bacterial signaling substances can also latch onto other organs and affect metabolism in that way. They dock on the liver, bad, and fatty tissue itself and encourage the deposit of more fat. They also affect the thyroid gland. Why is it, guys? We've got more and more and more people today suffering with thyroid issues. Hello, this could well be the reason why. It's definitely worth investigating further. Bacterial infection hinder its function, causing it to produce fewer thyroid hormones, slowing the rate at which the body burns fat. Very, very scary stuff. The beautiful thing about this is it's cause and effect. The consequences of what you do at the buffet come back to haunt. So you're not in a position of being overweight, deconditioned, fat, frumpy, and fatigued and frustrated by bad luck. It's because of what we do day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, decades after decades that cause us to one day wake up and go, how the hell did I get here? It's not bad luck, guys. It's because you've programmed yourself that way. Take ownership, take action, and get back on track. Apply the action, apply the education, and become your best support mechanism and look after these little bacteria. They need it. Gut bacteria can affect their host's appetite. This is really interesting too. Postulated in 2013, so again, brand new science. This theory states that the late night munchies for chocolate-covered toffees followed by an entire bag of party pretzels do not originate in the organ that calculates our tax return, nor our brains, but our gut. Wow, why is this? The theory is this: our bacteria reward us when we send them decent delivery of food. You've heard me preach this through this whole entire presentation. It feels pleasant and whets the appetite for their very next meal. They do this not only directed by means of the substances they produce, but also cranking up the body's productions of certain transmitters. The same principle applies to the feeling of satiety. Our satiety signal transmitters increase when we eat the foods our bacteria prefer. And what most of our bacteria prefer is foods that reach the large intestine undigested. Dietary fiber, where they can smash it down. Let's check out these foods. Should we? Look, daily nutrition nibbles, the prebiotics. Prebiotics are fuel, the fueling for the probiotics, the gut microbes. So it's like putting high, premium, unleaded, super race fuel into your body so that it can function at its best. Prebiotics are a special form of non-digestible carbohydrate that feeds the probiotics, the good bacteria. When the prebiotics and probiotics are combined, they work together to create a healthy environment inside your gut while promoting proper digestion. Here are some foods that contain prebiotics: artichokes, onions, garlic, chicory, dandelion, asparagus, leeks, berries, bananas, flax seeds, beans, lentils, just to name a few. Just think. Fruit, vegetables. Make sure you've got a huge diversity of fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts. You will get everything you need for your body just to flourish. It's simple. Prebiotics, what are they? Simply the fuels that fuel your bacteria? Yes, indeed. Before we look at them, it's important to remember that for the benefits of the prebiotics to work, our good bacteria, the little critters must already be present in your gut. Bacteria, in most cases, love food that we cannot digest in the small intestine, which we call dietary fiber or roughage. Your gut microbes use the food stuff to manufacture vitamins and healthy fats, these short-chain fatty acids I mentioned earlier, like butyrate, along with some hormones, not to mention train the immune system. Magic, absolutely magic. So how does it work? Prebiotics is the roughage that can only be eaten by our good bacteria. Household sugar is not a prebiotic. Bad bacteria cannot process prebiotics at all, so they can't use the prebiotics to make their evil chemicals. However, the bad bacteria guys can use sugar and rubbish to make their evil chemicals, so avoid that rubbish at all costs. Good bacteria feed with prebiotics, grow constantly in power, and can gain the upper hand in the gut wall. So your good and bad bacteria fighting each other. Wouldn't it be great to supply our friends, our really good friends that look after us, with the fuels they need, so they're weaponry of choice to be able to put the bad bacteria to bed for good? Absolutely. Examples of these mighty bacteria superfuels are the olaceous vegetables, so like leek, asparagus, onions, and garlic. Awesome. And the compostate plants, endive, salsify, and artichoke, both types including Jerusalem artichokes. So again, fantastic stuff. These are great. These are the foods highest in the prebiotic activities, guys, but you don't just have to eat these. Don't get me wrong. As I've stated over and over and over in this presentation, all fruit and veggies, legumes and nuts, get them into you. The resistant starches from potatoes and rice. Yes, when potatoes and rice are boiled and then left to cool, this allows the starch to crystallize, making them more resistant to digestion. That's right. Did you know that? When we cook rice, pasta, potato, and we eat it hot, we absorb nearly all of it, and the effect on our blood glucose levels can be quite high, leading to an insulin secretion, which in many ways can inhibit fat loss, but in a positive way can activate muscle growth. But that's another story. However, if you let it cool and you ate like a cold rice with a whole lot of vegetables through it, or almost like a modified fried rice, then the ability to digest the starch, the things that would affect your blood glucose levels, is reduced to near nothing. Amazing, isn't it? And that's called resistant starch. There's even specific breakfast cereals on the market that the CSIRO were involved in making, and they altered, barley to make a specific breakfast cereal out of it, which is resistant starch. Yet others include green bananas, wheats, whole grain, rye, oats, and pumpernickel bread. Ezeki bread's another one. So it's just fascinating, all of this stuff. Just again, why are they so good? It's the fiber content. So prebiotics versus probiotics, the difference between them are simply this. This is your gut, a probiotic, and they're being fueled with our prebiotics just here. So again, these things here, so garlic, bananas, apples, orange, leeks, artichokes, nuts, legumes, all entering in. They're chowing down on them. Look at the magic that happens. Probiotics are alive, usually bacteria or yeast, aid digestion and other healthy benefits. Good sources are your yogurts, so your good quality, exceptional quality Greek yogurts. Kefir, buttermilk, aged cheese, sauerkraut, one of my favorite foods, kimchi, I live on these things, sourdough bread, miso, tempeh, kombucha. So there's something I have at the moment that has sauerkraut, kimchi, and kombucha in it. Absolutely amazing. Prebiotics are a form of fiber, serve as a food source for the probiotics. Good sources are chicory root, Jerusalem artichokes, and dandelions. Foods you'll actually eat: garlic, leeks, onions, whole wheat, fruit, vegetables, and legumes. Enough said. It's just amazing. So the thing you need to do when you get out of this presentation is go to your green grocer and hook in. Pre and probiotics, wanted good bacteria. Another overview of a whole lot of the great stuff that you can ascertain through diet to stimulate an overflow of abundance of your good bacteria. This is great for kids, guys. It's a really sensible way to educate, and it's a really sensible way for adults. Let's have a look at it. Probiotics, they reach the intestines alive. Get down the bowel. Okay, aid in digestion. If you're digesting food, you're absorbing food better. If you're absorbing food better, you're supplying the nutrition for your body to function better, aka you're increasing your metabolism. It improves bowel movement. Excellent. If you're improving bowel movement, that means that these fellas are getting down through absorption into your bowels and allowing a good cleanse. They produce beneficial effects on health. I've talked about it endless times. Feeling good, performing great, looking amazing. Prevent the harmful bacteria from multiplying in our intestines. As we said, if we're eating more of the good bacteria, the good guys get to put the bad guys to bed. Kick them to the curb. So less fat, less refined carbohydrate, less human interfered trailer trash. And they can be ingested as food. So whether it's this sort of stuff you cooked, that's fine, but they're very high in sugar, all this sort of stuff, guys. Whereas we mentioned before, good quality sauerkraut, kombucha, kefir, my favorite of all, Greek yogurt. So my Greek yogurts that I consume are Tamar Valley, Bornhofen, Litos from Aldi. They are just fantastic. They are beautiful. They're Dodoni you get from Coles. Fantastic yogurts, very low in sugar, very tarty, because that's all the great stuff doing magic for us. And one of my favorite meals is some Granny Smith apple cut up, 4 or 5 teaspoons of that yogurt, some apple and cinnamon protein powder, and woof, yummy, yummy, yummy. See, it's not about eating foods you don't want to. It's about eating foods that these puppies want, that you lick your lips, that you start to feel great and perform great, and you get on top of your health and well-being, then you're living your life. And that ends this presentation, guys. And that concludes my presentation. Is there any questions? This is another one. When I make contact with you during the week, I'm going to have some questions to you about this, because this really, guys, is make or break. It's not all about bench press. It's not all about burpees. It's about this. If you don't get your head around this stuff, mind massage, and understand every time you put something in your gob, it should be off a tree, out the ground, swim the ocean, walk the land. You can understand why. You're supplying the right nourishment to fuel your body that supplies that bacteria to work optimally and suppress the bad bacteria that will manufacture toxins, viruses, etc. It's your choice. And again, as I've said many times before, Fusion Fat Loss and Nutrition, Transform You, is everything you'll ever need to know to build the specific processes and strategy to turn intentions into habits to allow you to build the body you want for life. It's a slow old process, but God, once you achieve what you want to, it's the greatest reward you'll ever get. Until next week, guys, take care, do well, and eat like your life depends on it, because it does.